Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am not here with Geeky Sparkle. She doesn't care too much about the topics I picked today. She'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure she'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Halo TV series on Paramount Plus and some of the backlash and the fact that the showrunners have already quit. Yeah, they've already quit. They're already trying to find the showrunner for season 2, I guess. You know, maybe this is going to be a bit of a dumpster fire. I don't know, but I've got this article pulled up from Screen Rant from 3 years ago when the show was in development for Showtime. And they already had a bunch of controversial changes announced. Now, I'm not sure if those are going to make it into the final Paramount Plus version or not, but there's been some backlash. There has been some backlash over this, and, you know, we'll have to wait and see what the finished product is like. But from what I've seen so far, it just looks like kind of The Mandalorian, but a more grounded, realistic Mandalorian. I think Master Chief looks fine. I don't know if he's going to act like Master Chief, and I think the Covenant looks fine. But other than that, it looks kind of budget cut. It does look better than Boba Fett. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if it's any good. I know they've already made statements that this is not going to be canon in the main Halo timeline. It's going to be some kind of, silver timeline or something, like an alternate universe. That's their way of saying, we know this show is probably going to suck. It's probably going to be polarizing. It's probably going to piss fans off. So if it pisses fans off, we'll just decanonize it and punt it over to the multiverse or some shit like that. That's going to be the new catch-all for every mistake studios make going forward. The multiverse, like, oh, this didn't go very well. Well, that's an alternate universe. We're just going to reboot the franchise and pretend that series, that book, that comic, that never happened. So we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 256,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We do talk about video games sometimes. We talk about streaming a lot, and Halo is coming to streaming. It's coming to Paramount Plus. The trailer's out there. It's gotten very mixed reaction. People either love it or hate it. I am on the fence. I think Cortana looks like a soccer mom. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We talked about it yesterday, but apparently there's been more backlash since yesterday. But got to give a hat tip to Rammstein, who sent this over, that the series showrunners have already left before the premiere date. They're out the damn door. They're out of here. According to Reddit, a lot of people have already been talking about the many issues with the show. We can see from the trailer, the visuals, the story, and so on. I won't get into that. We might talk a little bit about that. So here's some information I thought I'd share. The showrunners have already left the show. On June 25th, 2021, it was reported both Kane and Killian would be exiting as showrunners following the completion of season 1. Killian had left prior to the start of production due to him feeling like he wasn't able to fulfill the duties of showrunner, with Kane taking the reins as lead showrunner until post-production work had been completed. However, should the show get picked up for a second season, Kane would not return. So not even the showrunners who were originally all about, oh, the show will be faithful to the games, we totally care about the games, and the show will be amazing, have stuck around, which says a lot of how the freaking showrunners have no faith in the show. This kind of reminds me of Avatar, doesn't it? The Last Airbender for Netflix, the creators, the showrunners, they left, and they're like, whatever comes out, just so you know, we had no part in this. In this case, these guys did, but it sounds like they know this is going to be a dumpster fire. Also, side note, have a look at the previous works of the showrunners. It's not good. It's just more and more bad signs for the show. Lots of damage control articles popping up since that thread on Reddit. Here we've got Deadline. Halo executive producers weigh in on showrunner and platform shuffle. Says, the bar is incredibly high for Paramount Plus series. It's incredibly high. Sci-fi drama, which stars Pablo Schreiber as video game icon Master Chief, has gone through a number of hoops to get to Paramount Plus. From switching over from Showtime to Paramount Plus to the exit of co-showrunner Kyle Kinnan in 2018. However, executive producers, including Kiki Wolfkill and Justin Falvey, say that finally launching the series was a product of commitment and patience. When you have a piece of IP like this, such massive scale and scope, it takes some time to get it right. And the commitment from somebody on Steve's level or any of the other folks we've been talking to, it's recognizing the realities of that and getting it right. Said Falvey, who executive produces for Amblin Television. There's been a constant of the same people in the same positions that have been through this and stuck with it and been patient. That's the reason we're here today. Set to premiere March 24th on Paramount Plus, Halo dramatizes an epic 26th century conflict between humanity and an alien threat known as the Covenant, while using modern-day artillery and vehicles for some reason. The creatives behind the series say Halo draws on the nearly 20 years of mythology and lore that has sprung out of the popular video game franchise. In addition to the wealth of the game's history, Paramount Plus's their take on the franchise will also face nearly 20 years worth of devoted fans. No shit. For gamers, screen adaptations of beloved video game franchises can stick the landing while others fall flat. For the EPs, the pressure to responsibly adapt the epic first-person shooter is definitely on. Yeah, so far, people don't seem terribly impressed. Not what I've seen. We get one chance to launch this as a scripted series. The bar is high. The first season has yet to launch, but will already bid farewell to showrunner and executive producer Steve Kane. During the panel, Kane provided a pretty simple answer. He said he worked in Hungary for 2 years to produce the show, and redeveloping and fleshing out some of the work that came before him. As much as I enjoyed it, it's a long time to be away from family. Okay, well, I'll give you that. My kids were in the final years of high school, and I didn't want to leave again. Making Halo will go down for me as a career highlight. I could only do it for one season. When asked about who could helm a potential second season, Falvey brought up David Weiner, who served as a co-producer on Fear the Walking Dead. He added that our intention is to produce several seasons of the show. Well, that's everybody's intention, isn't it? It's up to the fans to decide. Well, no, I'd say that. It used to be up to the fans to decide if a second, third season actually happened, and now it's whoever wants to bankroll it, even if nobody's watching. Paramount Plus is notorious for that with Star Trek, right? During the panel, Schreiber talked about putting his own spin on Master Chief. Blah, 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 blah. All the people are involved. Yeah, there we go. Showrunners have already left the ship. And it wasn't just Stephen Kane. We had the other showrunner leave too. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I mean, even last summer, people were talking about the changes to Master Chief. I don't know how it's going to go down. We've already seen Cortana. We've seen the trailer, which, again, looks more like it takes place 10, 20 years from now than, as far in the future as it's supposed to be, 26th century. Cortana looks far more human and distinctly less blue. This is coming from Screen Rant. People aren't happy about it. Cortana's got a new look. She looks like a soccer mom and is already proving unpopular with fans. This is a great sign, isn't it, for this show? For the most part, the trailer hints the show will adapt the video game franchise as faithfully as possible, with a big budget for special effects and visuals directly inspired by the game. Inspired by. We couldn't literally do the game because that cost too much. The Paramount Plus series' biggest visual departure from its video game inspiration is Cortana, who looks decidedly different in live action. In the game, she's a blue humanoid hologram. The trailer shows her as holographic. She looks far more realistic and far less blue. This is a sign of things to come. And far less sexy and more like a soccer mom. Now they're already trying to defend it. They're trying to say, well, they're basing her on the voice actress. While the difference between the video game's Cortana and TV show's version essentially boils down to her color, the changes have already proven unpopular. Taking creative liberties with the design of such an iconic character rarely pans out well, but the early fan reception of Cortana's new redesign is particularly underwhelming. Interestingly, the main reason why Cortana's new look is so disliked actually lies with the show's other visuals. For the most part, almost every aspect of the Halo trailer has been well received by fans. That's debatable. Even from the earliest reports of development, the Halo TV show was controversial, but previews have gradually won them over. Hey, Master Chief looks okay, right? While the recent trailer looks excellent, Cortana's redesign is perhaps the biggest departure. By making her look more human, the show risks changing part of the dynamic between her and Master Chief. The show's story intends to follow that of the games, which it won't. They've already said it's a separate timeline and they can just ditch it. This could potentially prove to be problematic for Cortana's narrative arc further down the line, as her robotic otherness may need to come into play as events unfold. Still, as the show is set to take place on the Silver Timeline, a canon entirely separate from the games, Cortana's new look could be intended to highlight the differences between the show and the games. However, the show's Cortana looks so different from that of the games that there's bound to be discourse among fans about whether the change was necessary. Whether or not there's a narrative purpose for her redesign, no, to make her less sexy. That literally is it. I guarantee you that's what it is. We need to humanize her and make her look less sexy because the male gaze. The male gaze. Fans have already spoken. For the most part, they don't appreciate the new look. Maybe they'll turn her blue later. I don't know. I think this show's got bigger problems. I'm really starting to think it's got some major problems that people are jumping ship. I think Cortana is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I didn't think the trailer looked terrible from what I saw of it. I'm going to be honest. But I'm not a Halo super fan either. I played the first couple of games back in the day. Kind of, I think from 4 on, I'm like, I don't really care. But I know it has a very dedicated, I'm using finger quotes here, very dedicated fan base. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with this when it premieres. And, the showrunners have already left the building. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.